Alright guys, so what we're trying to do here is add a user authentication mechanism so users can log into this website. Right now, inyas.com, as you can see, does not have any kind of login, password, or forgot password feature, and we need to add that. So what I did was, I went to ChatGPT and asked it to prepare step-by-step prompts that I can use with QDeveloper to build this functionality. It generated around 15 prompts, and we're going to go through them step by step. Some of those prompts are here. Of course, we'll use them, and in some cases, we'll adjust based on what works better. Again, this is more of a guideline. So first, let's review what we currently have, which is basically nothing in terms of authentication, and we need to add that feature. I'll go through the prompts while simultaneously working in AWS to set everything up. Now, one thing you'll notice is that we don't have a Cognito user pool for Inyas yet. So the first step is to create one. We already have a user pool for another project, but not for this one, so I'm going to create a new user pool and select mobile app, since we may support mobile in the future. I'll name it Inyas User Pool. For sign-in options, I'll stick with email, and I'll enable self-registration. This is important because we want users to be able to sign up on their own. If needed, you can disable this and manually create users, but in our case, we want self-sign-up. We're not adding any custom attributes for now. We'll keep things simple. Alright, so let's go ahead and create the user pool. Now, if I go back and check, you can see the user pool has been created successfully. This will be our Inyas user pool. Now, when we built the functionality, we'll need a few key things from here, like the user pool ID, the ARE, and possibly token-related settings. Also, it's important that we don't interfere with any existing user pools from other projects. We'll only use this one. Now, moving on. We need to prepare the project and create an authentication layer. So here's what I'm thinking. Even though we have prompts from ChatGPT, we still need to apply our own understanding and structure things properly. What I'm going to do is create a new project called Inyas API. The reason I separate the API is for better organization. It helps to keep backend logic independent from the front end. I'll create it in IntelliJ and use Python 3.14. This way, we keep APIs cleanly separated, which makes development and maintenance easier. Now we have a basic shell project. From here, we can start adding functionality. So I'll take one of the prompts for creating the authentication layer and pass it to QDeveloper. Just to clarify, all of these prompts were generated using ChatGPT, and now I'm feeding them into QDeveloper to generate the actual code. We're not manually writing code here. We're letting the tool generate it. Some people call this vibe coding, but realistically, you still need to understand what you're doing, especially the AWS environment and how things connect. Now let's see what it generates. It should create authentication, APIs, and all the required backend structure. This will become our backend API, and the frontend will call these APIs for authentication. If we were writing this manually, it could take hours. But with QDeveloper, or tools like Cursor, it becomes much faster. Personally, I like QDeveloper, but you can use whichever tool works best for you. Alright, looks like the API layer has been created. It's also showing how the front end should integrate with it. Now we need to install dependencies and set everything up. Sometimes installing requirements can take a bit of time since all libraries need to be installed properly. But overall, things are moving smoothly. So now we have our backend API ready. One important thing, we must provide the Cognito configuration details. That includes the user pool ID and user pool name. This is critical because the API needs to connect to Cognito to create and manage users. I also see that an app client has been created. This is great. So I'll copy the app client ID. This is also required for integration. The app client represents the application that will interact with Cognito. Now coming back to the prompts. We also need to build the front-end pages. Sign up page, confirm account page, login page, forgot password page, reset password page. Instead of creating these one by one, I'm going to give a single prompt to QDeveloper and ask it to generate all of them together. That way, we save time and maintain consistency. So now we'll have both backend API, front-end authentication pages. Now, one very important part, which we'll cover in the next phase, is deployment and integration. Because what happens is, this API needs to be deployed by an API gateway, and then integrated with the front end. We'll also need to commit the code, likely using code, commit, and ensure everything is properly deployed. Then the front end needs to call these APIs correctly. This is usually the more challenging part, getting everything wired together end to end. The remaining prompts we have will guide us through this full integration process. And of course, after that, we'll test everything to make sure it works. All right, I can see the front end is being generated now. In the next steps, we'll cover deployment, integration, and also how to push code to the repository. As you can see, with tools like QDeveloper, a lot of this becomes much more straightforward. The key thing is not just generating code, but understanding what needs to be built, which AWS services to use, like Cognito, how user pools and app clients work, and how everything connects. Also, organizing your code properly is very important. I prefer breaking things into smaller modules, like separate API projects, because it makes things easier to manage and safer when making changes. If everything is in one big code base, even small changes can break other parts. For deployment, since this is an Amplify application, the front end will be deployed automatically through Amplify. All right, so I think we're done with this phase. In the next step, we'll focus on deployment and full integration. Thank you.